blessings. Thanks so much for coming to my channel, PIZZOS Pages. Yes, I changed the name of my channel. I really wanted it to represent more of my writing and my reading life. And even though I'm always struggling to perfect those things, which is why it was named PIZZOS Perfection, I'm so excited to have changed it to PIZZOS Pages and for you to join me in my journey to one, becoming a published author and having pages in a book of my own, and two, the pages that I love to embark on every day in my reading life. Having you come along in that experience as well is really important to me. So the channel's name is PIZZOS Pages, and hopefully you'll continue to join me as we travel the pages of my life. Today is a What I'm Loving KIDLIT. What I'm Loving KIDLIT. And it's Hispanic Heritage Month. Yay! It's Hispanic Heritage Month. And I wanted to give a shout out to some of those books that are critical for all of our students to be able to experience in the area of Chicano, Latino, Hispanic heritage and culture. So these are just a few books that I am absolutely loving. I also have a couple of authors that I'm loving in the KIDLIT space, YA more, and I wanted to talk a little bit about them also, but let's get started because I have several books and I want to get through them. So in the first one, and I don't have my notebook today, I have my notes. I took notes, so I have my notes today. So the very first one is arroz con leche. Arroz con leche, and this is rice with milk. Rice with milk. I took a little bit of Spanish all the way through high school, but rice with milk is popular songs and rhymes from Latin America. Popular songs and rhymes from Latin America, and it's selected and illustrated by Lulu de la Craie. Lulu de la Craie is really, really adorable. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the artist note that's in the back. The artist note in the back. So when I read this, it represents different Latin countries. Everything from Puerto Rico to Mexico. I thought that this is reminiscent of just times past. It reminds me a lot of those beloved nursery rhymes and nursery songs that we sing in English, such as Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, or Roses Are Red, Violets Are Blue, maybe even Humpty Dumpty, some of those nursery rhymes that we sing and enjoy even to this day. And those are really important to help develop emergent readers, to give them the skills, our little ones, the skills to become readers. And using nursery rhymes, whether it be in English or in Spanish, when you have students whose second language is English, and they are Spanish speaking students, it's really important to tap into their culture and to give parents something that may be reminiscent of their childhood that they can then develop. There is no more, I will say this over and over again, there is no more of the idea that we're going to take the culture out the child to teach them to read. No more of that. If you're doing that, stop it. There are enough resources out there. I just fell in love with Bushels of Books. They have children's books in about 12 different languages. It's amazing, from Arabic to Spanish to Swahili. I mean, in so many different. It is a great resource, women owned, and I'll put the link in my description. It also, I ordered books one day and I put in a huge shipment of books for work, And within the next day, I couldn't believe it. They were there. So, and just wonderful, wonderful titles. I'll do a whole What I'm Loving in KIDLIT based on a lot of what they offer. But there is no excuse for you not to be able to read diversely and widely different languages in your classrooms. There are resources out there, and I'm not saying have complete shelves and spend tons of money on different languages, because we know our children are tested reading English texts. But I do think there should be some representation of different books with different languages in your classroom now that they're more readily available. If you're looking for any in particular, try Bushels of Books. And this is not sponsored. I wish it was, because they have some great resources and I'll be using them again. But I just used them and ordered books from them, and it was a great experience. So, and they had a wonderful selection. So, Arroz con Leche, popular songs and rhymes. There's some definitely old world images, reminiscent, just beautiful illustrations throughout the book. And they are dual language. So there's an English and there's the Spanish. I love that. When I help my parents figure out, ESL parents figure out, how do I help my kid learn how to read? Books like this is just a gateway in to giving them the confidence that they, even if they speak Spanish in their home and that's their primary language, this is a gateway that they can still help support their children learn how to read and gain those emergent literacy skills needed to become a better reader. I just love it. So there's one image that is really sweet, and it reminded me of Five Little Monkeys. So that was and these are all very new to me. I had never heard any of these rhymes or poetry. What are we calling them? Songs, rhymes from Latin America. I have never heard of these before. Some of them are reminiscent of some of the American, maybe an American version. But for the most part, these were completely new. There are a lot of trying to marry off women. But the women are pretty feisty, and they are like, oh no, I don't want to marry you, in some of the nursery rhymes. And they have older content, such as marriage or context. But the reality of it is, if you've ever really paid attention to American nursery rhymes or English nursery rhymes, same level of content. When you talk about pray my soul to keep, if I die before I wake. If I die before I wake. I mean, you're giving the little kid that. So this is similar to that. But this one I love. This one is one with elephants on a spider web. Elephants on a spider web. And I really loved it. It's called The Graceful Elephant. One elephant balanced gracefully upon a spider's web, but when the web bounced him all around, he caught in another to help hold it down. Two elephants balanced gracefully upon a spider's web, but when the web bounced them all around, they caught in another to help hold it down. 3 elephants, and you just keep going on and on counting. And to me, that's just like 5 little monkeys jumping on a bed. One fell off and bumped his head. Mama called the doctor, and the doctor said, no more monkeys jumping on the bed. And then you count down. So it's very, very reminiscent to that. But this is great. Arroz con Leche. Oh, I was going to read the author's artist note in the back. Latin America folklore is rich in children's songs, games, and rhymes. Many were inherited from Spain and with time permeated with the local flavor of each country. That is why we find children from different Hispanic countries all singing and dancing to their own local versions of songs like Arroz con Leche. Each song in this collection is marked either Mexico, Puerto Rico, or Argentina to indicate which country's version was selected. Many of the places portrayed here are actual ones, like the view of the old San Juan Cathedral in Puerto Rico in Arroz con Leche. There are typical things like the balloon seller in Allá en la Fuente, so often seen in and around Mexico City, or the coconut ice cream seller in El Hijo del Conde, often found in Puerto Rico. The Indian women in the open market in Naranjale Dolce are dressed in huipiles. They're typical and beautiful garments for all occasions. And children will love finding the tiny lizards that appear in some of the pictures. So it's just really nice. It's really nice. It's really, really nice. And the author was born in Puerto Rico to Argentine parents who first introduced her to these stories. Really nice. All righty. Okay, I'm going to share this one because it's completely in Spanish. Lucia la Luchadora. And I got it because of the image. One is a girl rocking like a wrestling costume, but I know they don't, that's a big part of their culture. And it is all in Spanish. And one of the things that I love about it is that it is all in Spanish. So think of that child who is trying to develop as a reader, who's trying to learn how to read, and those parents who are trying to help them, and they are native Spanish speaking people, and you say, just read a book. Well, oftentimes I've had parents say to me, how do I do that? You know, their book is in English and I may not read in English. Well, regardless of what their native language is, I hear that often. And so one of the things that we say is create your own story. Create your own story using the images and the illustrations. Create your own story and then have the child create their own story. And then continue to do that because that develops language skills. It also helps develop being comfortable around text, understanding that a book is valuable and important, and this is what literacy is. And so just being able to do that. So I tried to do that with this story because it's all in Spanish, and I wanted to have that experience that I often tell ESL parents to have with their children around books that maybe they don't really fully understand the story or the content based on it being written in English. And I think I did pretty good. So my next thing is to try to find this book, the English version of it, and see how well I did. But this is written by Cynthia Lenore Garza, illustrated by Alyssa Bermudez. So Cynthia Lenore Garza and illustrated by Alyssa Bermudez. It's gorgeous, really well done. And I'm excited to see how close I was to the actual story. On my notes, I really just talked about that feeling of uncomfortableness without knowing exactly what it says. But once you get into it, by the time I turned the third or fourth page, I didn't care really what the word said because I was creating my own narrative connected to the illustrations or the images within the book. So this is a great book to be able to have in your classroom. And if there's an English version, to have this and the English version, have this and the English version side by side, especially during Hispanic Heritage Month, and see how well students are able to come up with how close their story is to the actual story. That's a good lesson. That's a good lesson. All right. Next book. Next two. I'm going to save my most heartwarming last. Okay, but the next two, I call these two Food Takes Center Stage. Food Takes Center Stage. We know a big part of culture and diversity is the foods that are part of that culture. And so these two are written by the same author, but illustrated by 2 different authors. The first one is Guacamole. Guacamole, and this Jorge Argueta. Margarita Sada is the illustrator, and it's a cooking poem. It's a cooking poem, and it really is so very cute. It is dual language, so the Spanish is on top and English on the bottom. I love that, love that. And it's just whimsical and fun. The illustrations are bright and colorful. The food, though, takes center stage because actually the children in the book look like little mini people, yet the food is bigger than life, way bigger than they are. So if you look at this one, that's the spoon. Look how huge that spoon is. And then they're carrying the avocado peel right there, which is much larger. It takes 2 of them to carry. So I love that the food takes center stage. The language is very simplistic, but it has fun, whimsical, imaginative words such as drizzle and spatters and avocado flesh. But it's very cute, and it's all about making guacamole. Very, very cute. And it's just really fun and whimsical. And I love that it has the dual language on each page. On the back it says, it's time to make guacamole. A young chef puts on her apron and begins to sing and dance around the kitchen as she gathers the ingredients for this easy recipe. And you could follow this. I've been eating a lot of avocado because I'm on this keto thing. And this is an actual recipe. It's an actual recipe. So great lesson in the classroom. You could do this and then listen to both translations and then actually have your students make avocado. Real guacamole. Make guacamole using avocado, because avocado is not a typical, is it a fruit? It has a seed. Maybe. Avocado is not a typical item they might purchase, especially if they are not of Hispanic culture or Latina culture. And so this would be a great way to introduce. I love, every time I cut open an avocado, I show my kids the seed. I love how smooth it is, and they talk about that in this book, how big it is. I just love the texture of it. I feel like it shouldn't be a seed, that it should be something else, like something your mom decorated the table with or something. I don't know. I just love that. And I think that's something that young children would love to see. Even my teenage boys love seeing that when I'm like, oh, look at this seed. So it's really cool. And there's a whole piece about recycling and not discarding them, but putting them back in the earth to reproduce again. Really nice, really nice. So this is guacamole. And then the next one is salsa. And I actually like salsa better than guacamole. I don't know. I could hear the rhythm in salsa more than I could hear in the guacamole. And the images, I don't know. It started with history, and you always grab me with history. But this one is really nice. It's by Jorge Argueta and Duncan Tonatua. I got to get better about listening for these names. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to offend anyone. I just want to get this content out. And I'm doing everything. So this is another cookie poem. But one of the reasons why I love this so much more is because it starts with the history of salsa. In my house, there's a stone bowl. It's black as the night and stands on 3 little feet. It's called a molcajete. Molcajete. Molcajetes are made of lava, volcanic rock. Lava is born when volcanoes erupt, spitting out fiery red stone. When the stone gets cold, it turns black. This is what molcajetes are made of. I hope I'm not totally destroying that. And then there's just all this other imagery of history connected to making salsa. but it's very sing-songy. The illustrations are reminiscent of Diego Rivera, which was really important in my childhood because the Detroit Institute of Art has this humongous mural in it of Diego Rivera's and the auto industry. And I remember that significantly. I've just recently been there to see it because I went to go see William Shakespeare's canon work or whatever they put out there for him. And I just love that so much. But it's a salsa orchestra. There's so much rhythm and music. It's dancing salsa. They dance throughout the book. I love that. I love the history, the language, and the infusion of red hot rhythm. Red hot rhythm. I just love it. It's a great book. It looks really good. Food takes on center stage. It's playful. It's colorful. But again, you can create this in your classroom. You can read this book and then make salsa. Make salsa with your students. It's really, really cool. Or have your students do a salsa contest and bring in chips and everybody makes some salsa and then they compete and see which salsa is the best salsa. And then I wanted to show you this one image at the back because this is what I talked about with the guacamole, how they talk about reusing all of the things that you are going to typically discard, but putting it back in the earth. And there's the image of him putting it back in the earth to kind of regrow all the things you already used or to help the soil replenish itself again. It's just great. It's great. So that's Salsa by Jorge Argueta. And both of these are cooking poems, dual language, Spanish and English, and a great way to celebrate the culture. All right. This Butterfly Boy, these are so endearing because both of these books have a very tender connection to grandparents, and I love that so much. That relationship between a grandchild and a grandparent is so powerful in both of these books, and it's really sweet and endearing. But the illustrations are another one that I would love to see them create the illustrations for each book. And this one is almost has a Picasso feel. I was going to look up like some background information about the illustrations and I just didn't, but I just love the illustrations. I love the illustration. There's this abstractness to them, but the art I did read is acrylic, watercolor, and salt. Acrylic, watercolor, and salt to make these illustrations. Just fascinating, beautiful story of a grandchild's love for their grandfather and the bond that they hold very dear is exposed. It's very heartfelt. And again, I'll read the very last one. Emilio tried hard not to laugh. He felt as if his heart would burst from his chest. He kept his head still so the butterflies would stay, but shifted his eyes to see Abuelo's face. The corners of Abuelo's mouth turned up and his eyes danced and twinkled like twilight stars. This is by Virginia Kroll. She has tons of books, maybe over 30 books, I think. And Geraldo Suzan. That's the book. It's beautiful, heartwarming and charming. The illustrations are gorgeous, gorgeous. Just wow, wow, wow. Very complex. Makes you think about all of the images on several different levels. I really, really like them. Would love to learn even more about it, but it's a great book and it is a great homage to the older generation. Just really nice. And there's some really sensitive content in this book about Alzheimer's and getting older, but it's just very well done. Very well done. Butterfly Boy. All right. And the next one, I got 4 minutes. This is called Abuela. In this book, Butterfly Boy. The characters are a grandson and a grandfather. Abuelo is the character that's beloved in this story. And in this story, it is a granddaughter and a grandmother. Abuela is the one that's beloved. It is so sweet. It's so sweet. This one almost has this reminiscent. It reminded me of Virginia Hamilton's book, Wings, maybe is the name of it. But they do a lot of flying. They do a lot of flying. It's really imaginative, really colorful. It is definitely adventurous. Grandma is fun, high flying, and it's exhilarating with the places and faces and colors. It's just a really nice book. The reader is immersed in these two and their love for family and culture and life. And it's really sweet, really sweet. And it continues on. So this is one where they're flying. Very beautifully done. And then they go all of these different places. It's infused with Latina culture, Hispanic culture all throughout it. There's even an image and something to say. You could be political, but I won't be, about the Statue of Liberty and how she left her home country to come here to America. It's just really a sweet, sweet honor to family and culture and the Hispanic heritage. The illustrations are really beautiful. Watercolor, just really done beautifully. Lots of infused images to look at over and over again. We are walking by the lake. Abuela probably wants to go for a boat ride. Vamos a otra aventura. She says she wants us to go for another adventure. That's just one of the things I love about Abuela. She likes adventures. So it's just really sweet. And there's so much that you can do to extend the learning with this book, to extend discussion around family and generations and grandparents. It's just a really sweet book. So I did it under 30 minutes, I hope you go out, get some special books to celebrate Hispanic heritage, infuse it in your lessons. If you're an educator, infuse it in your family time. If you are a parent, and infuse it in your community if you serve your community in any way. But this is what I'm loving, Hispanic Heritage Month. This is what I'm loving, KIDLIT that I'm loving. Continue to like, share, subscribe if you haven't. Be blessed.